Everybody, Lisa Romano here, the Breakthrough Life Coach, and this week we're going to be talking about how to end a toxic relationship. So if you're like me and you've suffered from codependency, and codependency does exist on a spectrum, and I would say I was pretty damn codependent, you suffer with knowing how to end a relationship. For me, I was married for many years. Even though I knew that my relationship was dysfunctional, I just didn't know how to get out of it. I was very aware that I was unhappy and we were not meant for each other, but I just didn't know how to end it. The one tip that I want to give you before I even go into the steps is begin asking yourself if you think that you need permission to have your unique perception about your relationship. Oftentimes, if you're codependent, and you've been taught that your feelings are irrelevant, you don't trust the way you feel. And that's really, really dangerous when you're inside a relationship dynamic that's unhealthy, because you might have the desire to leave or end the relationship, but you may, on an unconscious level, believe that you need your spouse's permission or validation, or they have to agree with you that, yes, you're right, we're toxic and I'm a terrible person and we should get divorced. The reality is abusive people never agree with us. And in fact, if we say white, they have to say black. If we say up, they have to say down. And that's one of the reasons the relationship is toxic in the first place. So before we even get going, ask yourself if you unconsciously think that you need your spouse's or your girlfriend or your boyfriend's permission to think you should end the relationship. Because the reality is you don't need permission from the other person to end the relationship. The reality is you are your own grown-ass adult person and you are entitled to have your feelings. And if you think the relationship is over for whatever reason, you are entitled to have that experience. Now, that doesn't mean that your spouse, your boyfriend, or your girlfriend are going to agree with you. It just means that it's time for you to reevaluate how you think about yourself and how you think about this other person, and what is your belief system around ending the relationship in the first place. So the first step that I want to offer you is, dear ones, focus on the facts. Was this person addicted to drugs before you met them? Did this person have a criminal record before you met them? Did this person have a habit of stealing, have a habit of lying? Has this person cheated on you? Have you found text messages on their phone that they try to explain away, but in your heart they're more than what they seem to be? Has this person violated you in some way? Is this person passive aggressive, condescending, cruel to animals? Is this person one way in public and another way behind closed doors? Is this person kind to your children or unkind to your children? So you want to start collecting data, factual data that you can hold on to that's very clear, because what that'll help you do is that helps clear the spider webs that sometimes show up in the mind when you're considering leaving a relationship. Because what happens is very oftentimes it triggers the fight or flight response. And when we think about leaving a relationship, we panic. The brain doesn't see the way out yet. And when the brain doesn't feel like it's in control of a situation, you will sound the alarm, or the brain will sound the alarm like, danger, danger, danger. We've never done this before. Remember, the brain likes the familiar, because the brain likes to be able to anticipate what's going to happen next, because the brain knows what to do. And because this has happened 100 times before, let's say your husband or your wife is a rager, and they spill milk and they start screaming and yelling and throwing mugs across the kitchen. If your brain has seen this happen many, many times, your brain knows that, oh, okay, she's upset, time for me to grab the kids, go into the bedroom, lock the door. Your brain knows the routine, right? So you will panic more when you think about leaving the situation, because your brain doesn't know what's around the corner. When you start focusing on the facts, what'll happen is your brain doesn't sound such an alarm, because facts are facts. And we're not thinking about leaving right away. We're just thinking about facts. So if you're considering leaving a relationship, or if that begins to show up in your spirit or your heart or your mind, step one is to focus on facts first. The second thing that I want you to do or consider is focus on how these facts actually make you feel. Use statements like, when he called me a bitch, I felt. Focus on statements like, when she threw the ashtray at me, I felt. When he screams at the kids, I feel. When she is flirting with my friends, I feel. When he is calling me names, I feel. When she is calling me names, I feel. When she is raging, I feel. When he is embarrassing me in public, I feel. When I found out that she was cheating on me, I felt. When I found out that he slept with my sister, I felt. When I found out that he was gambling again, even though he said he would never gamble again, I felt. So you really want to begin sinking into the feelings that you may have been denying for so long. The goal is to come out of denial so that you can start anchoring yourself to the true nature of the relationship and what you're actually trying to escape. Third step is you want to connect the dots. So it sounds like the reason I feel blank is because he blank. So now you're taking the first step and the second step and you're marrying them. So it might sound like, I am sad because he cheated on me. I am angry because she always screams at me. I am depressed because we're never on the same page, because he always lies to me. I am sad because I can't trust my wife. I am disappointed because we keep going round and round and he refuses to go to therapy. So what's happening is you're connecting the dots. So now your being is becoming integrated with facts. So your mind is associated with facts and your heart space now is associated with the facts. So now you're becoming integrated. The reason I feel this is because of that fact. And what will happen is you will feel less cloudy. You will feel less confused. Your life will start making sense to you. And that's a very sacred space, because most people, what they do is they jump out of that space. They start to feel the anxiety of, oh my God, my husband cheats on me, and I have 6 kids and they're all in private school, and what am I supposed to do now? And I don't have a job and I quit college. And what we do is we jump right to the fear of possibly leaving the relationship. And we're missing a big chunk of what we're supposed to be doing. Before we start thinking about leaving, we really have to shore ourselves up with some foundational facts. And we have to become one with how we feel. Because when we actually move through the relationship and it begins to come to an end, it is the facts and it is the way that we feel that will help anchor us and give us the strength to move forward. The fourth thing that you want to do is you want to make decisions based on the facts and based on the way that you feel. So a couple of things to remember is that no one is the boss over you. And that just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you have to stay in that relationship forever. You don't need permission from the other person to have your experience of them. When we are in relationships with abusive people, what they do is discount us. What they do is discredit us. They tell us that we don't have a right to feel what we feel, and we can stay locked in dynamics if we think that we need someone else's permission to feel what we feel about them. If this video helps one person, it's been worth the time and the effort it took to actually create it. Because I can tell you that in my own life, I spent many, many years below the veil of consciousness, and I did not realize, I did not have any clue that when I would approach my ex-husband about the way that I felt about his passive aggressiveness, the way that I felt that he minimized, not just me, even my children, the way that I felt that he always threw me under the bus with his family, the way that I felt that, he ridiculed me in his own little sneaky way. The way that I realized that he had no consideration for my feelings at all. Never. And I would approach him, and I did not realize that I was waiting for him to say, yeah, I see that. I do that. Yeah, you're right. I do minimize you. Yeah, I am abusive. Yeah, I do minimize the kids. Yeah, I'm a bit of a covert narc. Yeah, I think I'm right all the time. Yeah, you're right. I was waiting for him to agree with me. I didn't realize that when I went to him and I told him that I was severely upset and depressed, and I thought that we should either move forward and get therapy or we should end the marriage, I didn't realize that I was looking for his permission, right? And what I realized many, many years later, both personally and professionally, and even watching my friends, many of them get divorced, is that we do not need permission from our spouses to feel the way we feel about them. So if you have a spouse that's cheated on you, right, you don't need his or her permission to be upset about that. Because if you're living with someone who cheats on you, then they're going to blame you for why they cheated on you. They're going to minimize your experience of the cheating. They're going to say it's no big deal. It was just one time. What's a big deal? It never happened. You have no proof it happened, right? And in all of that, just hold on to yourself. Pay attention to the facts. No matter what they say, stay in your body, stay in your mind, stay in your skin, stay in your brain. Pay attention to the facts. Pay attention to how the facts make you feel. Sink into that. Connect the dots. The reason I feel sad is because he blank. The reason I want a divorce is because she blank, right? And the fourth step is to begin making decisions in your life that are based on the facts and the way you feel about the facts. So I'm all about trying to come up with creative ways to help people who are struggling from narcissistic abuse and codependency learn how to come up out of the web that is codependency so that they can connect to higher cognition, so that they can use their prefrontal lobe to make executive decisions about their freaking life, so that they can stimulate the sorry, I touched my microphone, so that they can stimulate their neocortex, so that they can come out of the limbic brain, which is the emotional brain, so that they can learn to think in a way that is conducive towards spiritual growth and emotional growth and ultimate freedom. Our feet are not stable to the ground, dear one, although we often do feel like they are. Leaving a relationship is extremely frightening. Some of us have been in relationships for many, many years, and our spouses are, we rely on them for finances. We have children. And I can tell you, as somebody, before I got divorced, I would hear, oh, so-and-so is getting divorced, and I wouldn't think much of it. It's like, oh, well, it's like reading the newspaper, right? What's the big deal? And then I went through a divorce. And then I realized how gut-wrenching and how terrifying and how debilitating and how overwhelming. And it's a horrible, horrible process. I wish I knew then what I know now, because now I realize that my reactivity and my fear and my codependency just really took a toll on me. And so if anybody out there is contemplating leaving a marriage and you think that you are codependent at all, my suggestion is learn as much as you can about codependency. Learn to love yourself and get confident in your love of self. Learn to think in a less reactive manner so that you can decipher the facts from fiction, so that you can, detangle your thoughts from their thoughts, so that you can have a conversation and stay in your own body and your own skin about the facts, so that you know that when you're talking to somebody about the facts, they don't have to agree with you. And in fact, in most cases, they won't. And that's okay. You still have a right to feel what you feel about the facts. You have a right to connect the dots, and you have a right to make decisions based on the facts and based on how you feel. This is not easy, dear one. We have all come, in my opinion, to learn how to make a stand for ourselves, to learn to speak our own voice, to learn to live out loud, to learn how to tap into the powerful creator that lives within all of us, so that we can live our own lives and we can grow and share and shed love and light wherever we go. We cannot do that when we are oppressed. And what we have to realize is that the liberation starts in the mind. If you can liberate your mind from fear and codependency, if you can come up from the subconscious mind, if you can break through the veil of unconsciousness, if you can free yourself here, you can free yourself out here. It all starts here first, dear ones. So I hope this has helped you, and I hope that it has inspired you, and I would love to hear your comments below. Namaste. I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you. Until next time. Bye for now.